we'll be able to see who is online. Cool. I'm just joining. Okay, so we've got quite a few people online already, about 20. So just say hi in the comments, everyone that's currently online, so we can know who you are and say hello. We'll give everyone about an extra 3 minutes to join. And then we'll kick off with some questions for Maria. Probably start with introduction. So for those who, for some reason, don't know who you are, Maria, you can school them.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So first person here. So yeah, I'm gonna butcher this name. Do you know how to pronounce his name? Zakaria. Any idea?
Sac, no. Sorry.
We'll just say
Sakar,
just say Hadi.
Zakaria.
Maybe
Is that right?
Zakaria. Yeah.
Zakaria?
Let us know if we're saying your name right, Zakaria. Hadu. We've got Angela. That's an interesting way to spell Angela. I've never seen that spelling.
Yeah, me neither.
Muhammad, that is an easy one. Muhammad Ashraf, how you doing? Oh, she's in Macedonia. Awesome.
Mhm.
We've got Amsterdam. Yeah, this is going to be quite a global audience, which is pretty amazing. And I appreciate, I know the time differences. I never know what time is best to set these things up because everyone's around the world.
Yeah.
Uh, but it looks like Macedonia and Amsterdam made it, so that's great. Cool. I can see we've got 36 people online. Just drop a message and say hi, guys. We'd love to know who you are because we don't see who's actually online unless you say something in the comments. So thanks everyone. We've got Maria, head of design or head of product design at
Head of
Revolut.
product design. Yes.
We will ask you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into design. And while you do that, if you guys have any questions, the way to ask them is just to drop them in the comments and we will see them here and I will ask Maria.
Super.
Over to you, Maria.
So thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me too. First of all, excited to be here doing one of these. I haven't, as I told you, I haven't done one of these in a while, so it's nice to just share everything. So I'm Maria. I'm the head of design at Revolut, head of product design. I specify product design because we also have like branding, sort of like the more marketing design part of it, which I don't oversee. I just see all the product side. Um, so I've been at Revolut for 2 years, but I've been working on financial services almost for 10 now. It, I cannot even believe that it's been like 10
Wow.
years. It's quite cool. I started my career in very traditional banking, working for Citibank as a product owner. Not very fun, just chasing after compliance, legal, risk manage. Like not great, but like a really good way to learn how a bank operates and yeah, how everything moves. I guess inside a traditional bank, which has allowed me a lot to like bring that into my later career in Rappi and startup and like these new sort of well, Rappi was more of a fintech. Here we're more of a neobank. So yeah, just bring all that knowledge and being able to kind of like start challenging, right? Like that's the fun part of working at some a place like Revolut. Like we get to disrupt a little bit and challenge what the traditional financial
Yeah.
services are. My design career started very, very, very early. Like I've always known I wanted to do something around this, I would say. When I was younger, I was more into film, though. Like I kind of wanted to be like an animator. I went through stages. I think a lot of creatives go through those stages of like, I don't know, maybe a film director, maybe a graphic designer, an interior designer, a fashion designer. Like we go through like all the different um, modalities of creativity. Long story short, I went to school for 3D animation, ended up changing along the way into digital design. Oh no, I think we lost we lost Betsy. I'll give it a couple minutes. Well, I'll keep telling you guys, but basically halfway through my schooling decided, well, kind of discovered this world of like UX and UI. Back then digital design, like it didn't even have like a proper name yet, at least in Canada where I studied. And yeah, that's what I did for school. Worked in advertisement for a little bit, did not enjoy it, and slowly moved into the more digital path. So I see, just going to the comments here. Yay, people from London. Hi Anna. I'm in London too right now. Austria, Pakistan. I think Batsy might be coming back. Okay. While he rejoins, I guess I can go
Connected
start
there.
going through some of your. No worries. No worries. No worries. Are you there? There we go.
Okay. Am I back?
You are back.
Awesome. Wow. I don't know why my connection keeps, but
No
I'm
worries. No.
assuming you gave an introduction.
Yeah. I was gonna start maybe reading a couple of the questions, but I'll give it over to you.
Yeah, please. So go for it. If I disconnect, yes, you can just keep going.
Yeah.
My connection
No
being
worries.
weird. Revolut 10 is amazing.
Thank you guys. Oh, still. I mean, maybe we can start there. Like, I think it's been a really good change, but there's still a lot to do. I think that's part of working at Revolut. Like, nothing it's truly amazing yet. Like, everything can be improved. Um, but do you want to start reading some of the questions, or should I?
Yes,
I think
go
you.
for it. I'm still trying to load my questions. So if you see any,
Perfect.
please do.
Perfect. Okay, so we have one. What do you think about the transformation that's happening in design industry after AI, or where it's going to lead us? So super interesting. I've been very, honestly, kind of passionate about AI and everything that brings. I kind of, the way I see it, like I think that the most, and you probably heard this along like a lot of times, like the most instinctive thing is like, oh, this is gonna take over us, like this is gonna just replace our jobs. But truly there's so many ways to incorporate it into our workflow, to use it as a tool to just become more efficient, to improve our quality, to learn tools in a faster way. So I see it more as a plus of how it incorporates into our workflow and probably like deeply changes and disrupts the way we work. I don't think it's going to fully replace, especially when you think of like product thinking, when you have like you could probably use it for like a simple onboarding flow for a generic sort of app, like that kind of stuff. Probably like like a very small startup could really benefit of like AI doing some screens. But in general, I think once you have a big enough product with complexity of users, locations, etc., like at that point you need people connecting the dots, at least for now. um I see a couple of people from my team. That's awesome. Noel and Andy, hello. But yeah, so for me, for example, at Revolut, I've been exploring. So right now we're in a process of documenting all our patterns, which is a big effort, very manual effort, where we're literally going through the app and like gathering all the use cases, all the different flows where we use a certain pattern. to be able to create this sort of like one single source of truth where everything is and what designers can reference, new designers joining can go and like learn from it. And definitely I see AI, it's not there yet, but how it could be incorporated, for example, in a process like that where it allows you to check what is the right pattern for X or Y, where any designer that has a question, like you potentially could have like some sort of like GPT that you can ask, like, hey, what's the checkout flow, and it will show you like what's the standardized flow. Like there's so many ways into bringing it into our process to become more efficient. So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about getting replaced by AI yet, but I think there's lots to do and lots to come on how it's gonna affect the way we work. Jumping into the next one, so I have Anna. Cool that you're in London. We would love to chat with you about your film experience. Have some film industry experience as well. Oh, that's awesome. I don't have any film experience though. I was just very passionate about it, but that's really cool that you do. And you say what kind of emerging technologies Revolut is using now. I would say, mm, I mean, when it comes to in the design and product front, I would say it's probably nothing more radical than the usual that you would see. As I said, we're trying to incorporate some of this AI into how we can make things efficient in design, like for design system, for optimizing quality, like automate, automizing, making a, like being able to just make a very efficient workflow where like everything just gets checked in a constant basis without like manual work. um I think there's gonna be a lot more to come on that front next year, so yeah, I'll share once we start doing it. I personally have been kind of testing some GPTs, trying to teach him some patterns, like some flows, and like it's hit and miss, but you definitely start to see how it's gonna get there. Then we have, but are you good now to come?
I think I'm good. I think I'm
Back,
good.
yeah,
You're
he's
doing
back.
amazing. Keep going.
Okay, okay. Let's see. We have what role does data play in Revolut design decisions? If it plays a large role, what methodologies are used? If not, what is the approach on informing design decisions? Cool. Like these are really good ones. So we are a very technology-based company, in the sense that yeah, like data, the data is huge, I would say. For Revolut, we are constantly trying to improve the way we record data, the data points that we can have, and definitely the efficiency in which this data can get to us, as designers or as product owners, as fast as possible. um, for the longest time, Revolut honestly was not doing a lot of user research. Like when I joined about 2 years ago, there wasn't much. I was very surprised. And kind of like my first instinct was a little bit like what are they doing? Like this is crazy. Like how are they not testing? How are they not like doing any sort of usability? Like but then I kind of took a step back and I'm like, wait a second, like they are where they are, right? Like what happened here? Like there's something that they are doing that it's working. And I think a big part of that is like how they utilize data and understanding how people are using the product, to
Right.
really just being able to create this efficient workflow, of iteration. I think that's the key part for Revolut. The word iteration, it's kind of it's very important for us. We work really fast in the sense of getting from concept to execution as fast as possible to get things out there and kind of like start learning in the process. We did a little company video for our careers page not too long ago, and one of our founders said a phrase that I think sums it up so good. He said it's like, we're building a no how did he say it, like we're building a rocket ship while we're launching it. And that's pretty much how it feels. It's like we're going and we're learning and we're doing it and we're iterating constantly, which honestly is very fun. Like it's so much fun, especially if in such a design center centric company, which this is something like kind of very important about Revolut. Like everything starts with design, like from the top down. Like our stakeholders really care about designs. there's a very famous phrase here at Revolut that, if there's some of my teammates still here, like they'll know, which is show me Figma, show me designs. It's like, don't explain to me, don't give me a PowerPoint presentation. Like, I want to see and live the experience as our users would experience it. And it comes from this, right? Like really focusing on like having an amazing user experience as your initial base, and then kind of working everything else out around it. And when you have a culture like that, that it's so heavily based on design, you have to create ways to, as I said, become really efficient, and we go super fast. But at the same time, it's such a privilege as a designer. Like, I don't. Yeah, no, it is a privilege. What am I saying? It is a privilege as a designer to be in a company where honestly, like, design is just put like so in the front. Like, speaking. Well, but you and me were in Vienna doing
It
that
is.
conference a couple weeks ago, and just listening to other people. Like, I kind of realized I've been in a bubble for like the past 2 years at Revolut,
Yeah.
where when I talk to you, when I talk to a lot of other designers, and they're like, "How do I convince my stakeholders to care about design?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wait a second, like my problems are very different." I see it too in a lot of people that leave Revolut. I keep in touch with a couple of designers, and they're like, "Oh wow, like I sort of didn't know what I had. Like, like now it's very difficult to get anything done." And like, I mean, yeah, it can be, obviously the way we work is so high paced that it can be challenging, stressful, etc. But at the same time, it comes with so much reward of being able to see your product out there really fast, to be able to really like put into the test like everything that you're working on, like that satisfaction of getting that like constant reward of like users improving their experience based on your work, like things you built, like things you designed in Figma a month ago are already live to 30 million users. Like, it's
That's
pretty
crazy.
crazy. Yeah.
So you talked about iteration and how potentially Revolut was using data to do that. How does that actually look like in practice? What does that look like?
So we have like in every team, it kind of depends on the team. They're a little bit different. The way we're structured, it's kind of, we have departments. Departments are different products, and each department sort of runs as its own, almost kind of like its own little startup, like crypto and everything. Obviously, we have then like a team that's sort of connecting the overall, making sure the experience is holistic, centralized, the navigation makes sense for everybody, etc. But I would say the data part, even though it can vary, like for the most part, we have data analysts embedded into the teams. So you would see different size teams, but like you'll be like product owner, engineers, designers, and data analysts. And like the way it works is very much like a, I don't know how to say, like kind of like an orchestra. Like, again, because it's such a design centric company, data analysts have this like this sense of like, we're trying to achieve this amazing user experience, right? So like all their stand-ups, so like they'll be sharing this information. I think that's the key part, is collaboration. Like data analysts work very closely. To give you a very like a recent example, like in our payments team, like one of our designers, Margarita, she would contact that analyst, like be like, "Hey, I think there might be a problem here, can you dig deeper?" They go, they understand like where people are clicking, what they're doing, what are the entry points, how they're getting there, what are they clicking after, etc. And then they analyze that, and that's what they use to like kind of like make the next iteration or decision or change, etc. So it is very, very collaborative between the team.
Right.
I would say it's not fairy tale, like by any means. Like there's so many areas that we have blind spots, and but that's part of everything, right? Like launching the rocket while we're building it. Like we still have a lot of gaps where we need to have better tools to track things. But all in all, I think it's quite good. The way, like the resources we have, I think we're still kind of privileged compared to other places that I know it's really hard to
I can
get some of these
only
inputs.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a question from Christina. How do you determine which areas of your product need improvement? Do you have standardized processes in place?
The thing is, the product is so huge, right? Like it's not like you can see like, oh, this needs fixing, and there's so many inputs that basically tell us what's wrong. Like we're constantly seeking for like what's not working, what's not ideal. But like every team, like every product team, usually small team or pods, like I don't know, different companies call them like tribes, they call them different things, but like every team, like it's conformed by a PO and a designer that like live and breathe their product. So
Yeah.
it's not so like it's not so much about like a consensus as a company of like what are the areas that we're gonna work on. It's like a little bit more individual by team, that they're like digging, constant digging to understand. Obviously, then the role of the product owner is also to prioritize those findings to make sure that we're tackling whatever has more impact first. um, where do this information comes from? It comes from data of like how people are using the product. It's coming from our feedback, external feedback. It's coming for chats. So a lot of people, like when they reach out to chat because they couldn't find this or they couldn't do this or something was not working. So we kind of like take all this and bring it in. um, Again, we also started doing some usability testing. It's kind of new for us. We're venturing into how do we incorporate this other data point, right? Like I don't see it as
Yeah.
like this is gonna solve all our problems, but it's another data point. And in some cases, that's another thing that we use to sort of like just do more discoverability of things that maybe are flying under the data, I would say. So yeah, it's kind of gathering all those inputs, prioritizing what's the most impactful things. I would say for myself, because I have this role, I have a core team which we like kind of like oversee like the navigation and like complete architecture of the app to be able to make sure, well, to make sure that things are well connected between each other. Um, for us is a lot of just input on understanding the metrics, like the bigger scale metrics, I would say. So engagement, retention, like we look at those numbers to kind of like understand where there might be any usability issues of like maybe people are downloading the app and like their first impression is confusing, they're not engaging, they're opening the account and kind of leaving it there because they gave up on understanding the product. And those bigger metrics also gives a really good just a direction on where we need to be looking at. um yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So I know you must get a lot of people asking you about Dubai now that you're not based in
Oh
Dubai.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. So two questions linked to Dubai. What would you say is the level of design maturity in the UAE or Dubai specifically? And what is it like to live and work here as a designer?
So, starting with number one, I kind of seen a little bit of everything, to be honest. I think it's been very similar to what I see. Like, I haven't noticed a huge difference between Dubai and other places, in the sense that you have your very traditional companies still doing sort of like design, like traditional process, let's say. And then you get a lot of startups coming from all over the world or starting in Dubai, where like they're looking for like the super agile, like let's a little bit chaotic processes where like we just make things happen and like you get the right people. I think something that is super key of Dubai, or something I've noticed, is the quality of the talent. It's, for me, it's really great in the sense that there is a specific mindset that you find in Dubai. um,
Yeah,
I mean, moving to Dubai, like it's something that a lot of people probably never thought they would do in their lifetime, right? So like the people that actually like sort of like dare to go and take the chance in this place, that for a lot of like for me and for I guess a lot of people is like very I don't want to say mysterious, like, but very very different. It's something very like far from where we come from, right? And to like people that are willing to take that leap, that chance to kind of like that are so open to something new by
exactly.
nature. I think they have that mindset of like overachieving, that wanted to like explore adventure, like creative, like there is something that comes with that nature of being able to move to Dubai, that makes the talent just the right kind of like, it's kind of it's the talent I look for. And like this might come up later on,
Exactly.
but like that's something I look for at Revolut. Like if you hire the right mindset, if you hire the people that are gonna work their hardest, and not even because they don't want the company to fail, they're going to work their hardest because that's who they are, and they
They
are
are.
always looking to just better themselves, the talent, the knowledge, the expertise will come. Like it's so much easier for people to learn technical than have like the right mindset towards this sort of like way of work, I guess. The second one, what was the second one about Dubai? Sorry.
What is it like to live here as a designer?
Ah, I love it. To be honest, I was very surprised. Uh,
Yeah,
I was very surprised with Dubai. I've been to Dubai a couple of times as a tourist in the past, and you kind of see like the very Dubai in the sense of you see the bling, you see the luxury, you see like all the flashy, um, and it's very easy for people to sort of judge it as a very superficial place. That it's like kind of new and like there's not really culture here. It's just like flashy stuff. I'm not gonna lie, like it was part of my initial thoughts, and I thought when I was moving there, I was living in somewhere else where I wasn't really enjoying it. So I knew I was gonna like have a better time in Dubai, at least because it was gonna be very sunny and nice.
yeah,
Coming from Mexico, that was very nice. But I was not expecting at all to like it as much as I do. I think it's been such a shock for me. I think one of them is the quality of the people. As I said, like just very
right.
passionate people, overachieving people. Like it gets you inspired. Like that would be the word I would use. Like it inspires you. Like it makes you want to be better because everyone is looking to better themselves, but from a very healthy place, which it's been great. Honestly, that part has been very surprising in a extremely positive way. The other one would be as a woman for myself, it's been very nice, like feeling very safe, very relaxed, that I can like, no one's gonna bother me, no one's gonna like it's honest. I don't think you realize like how important it is until you actually have it, and like you
Exactly.
feel very respected. So Dubai as a whole, honestly, has I've lived in Canada, I lived in parts in Europe, I lived all over the place a little bit, and I think Dubai is the first place where I'm like, oh wow, like I truly enjoy living here. I truly enjoy like being part of this city. Like it's a place that like, my sister always says like you can leave roots there, like you can settle roots in Dubai. So yeah, I've been very surprised as a designer. It's great. There's a great community in Dubai, and I think it's growing like crazy. Like, I mean, I went to an event, did a talk in an event last week, and there were like 400 people, and they were telling me like, oh, like a couple years back, it was like 30 people or like 10 people in a room, and now it's grown so much. So definitely a good vibe in Dubai. You find also people from all over the world, which is sort of like my that's something I love from Revolut and from Dubai, I guess. Like at Revolut, we have people from every single country you can imagine. So Dubai is kind of like the big version of that, where you find people from
Yeah,
everywhere, food from
exactly.
people feel like there's no culture, and I'm like, no, there's all the cultures. You just have to find them.
Exactly.
So
It's magical, right? Yeah, that's I agree with everything you've just said.
yeah.
Which actually is a great segue to my next question, which is sort of linked to Muhammad Nabil's question about
Hmm.
what it takes to stand out. So it's also another two-part question. Based on Muhammad's question, what do you think takes to stand out from the rest in terms of problem solving? And then the other part to that question would be, what do you look for in when you're hiring for Revolut? What do you think makes a designer stand out when you're hiring?
So I would say when it comes to like problem solving and like more like skill set, something I really look for is a balance of yeah problem solving with beauty. Like I would say like those like beauty and like simplicity and elegance, like the aesthetic part of it, it's very important at Revolut as well. As much as like it's not like, oh, we care more about like the functionality than the beauty. It's like, no, we care about both, and we care a lot about both. So we look for people that have both skills. Obviously you get some people that are more in this side, more on that side, and like the way you build teams is like kind of like being able to create teams with complementary skills. But I would say in the problem solving part, like we really focus on digging deep on understanding that whatever problem you were solving as a designer was truly a problem. So we care less about the solution and way more about like why did you solve that, like why did you decide to design this or like to dig deep into this. um, And then on the more aesthetic part and UI, generally looking for simple things. Like people think like, oh, a UI task or whatever, like I have to do this crazy elaborate like prototype with animations, and it's like it's the opposite. I want to see that there's consistency. I want to see that there's cleanliness. I want to see that you're able to really like do a very simplistic idea for the like. I look for Sometimes I look for the opposite of what I get, in that sense that like, as I said, like people try to go really flashy, and really what we're looking for is just like that attention to detail and being able to translate something that might sound very complex into a very simple solution. Um, in And the other thing is what I mentioned already, the mindset. Like for me, that is everything. Like I've seen some very junior people, even like grads, come into Revolut with that right mindset. And like I get messages from our CEO, like this person is great. Like there is something that I think that, I don't know, people that just come with like that overachieving attitude to the table, like it oozes out of them. And even if they're not doing like the best, most amazing things, like I think that like passion like translates into energizing the team, the company, like stakeholders can like even see it, I feel like. So yeah, definitely like the right mindset is extremely important. Also I look for, I don't want to call it strength because it's not strength, but I think I look for confidence. I think I do look for confident people. Look for people that are confident about their skills, and about what they know. We are very high pace, so I usually tend to stay away from designers that need to test everything. They need to validate everything, because reality is we don't have that time. So I need designers that trust their experience, trust all the testings that they've done in the past, good ones, bad ones, all the failures, all the achievements, and are going to bring that knowledge to the table to make better, or more accurate hypotheses, and like being able to just kind of like go fast with reducing the risk as much as possible, right? So that's another one for me. And lastly, I would say, and this one can crush it all. Like you can have all those three,
Okay.
like mindset, amazing UI, amazing problem solving, and if this one is not in check, then it's gone. And that would be for me ego. Like people that come in with a high ego, uh, being, I don't know, I've had like really amazing candidates being rude to like HR, like it's recruitment team, or like, and I'm like, I don't even want to talk to them. Like I do not have time for this. That is something that I value more than anything in my team. Like I want good vibes. I want to people that get along, people that can feel comfortable communicating with each other, are gonna collaborate with each other, are gonna help each other, are gonna
Yeah.
grow with each other. And definitely no bad actors, please. Like I like that's something I just won't tolerate even a little bit. Like if you come to me with I don't know, any, you know, just a big ego, like an attitude of know it all, I don't know, I tend to stay away
I
from
know
that.
what you mean. Yeah. I know what you mean, and you can feel it when you're speaking to someone. I
hundred
had that experience recently
Yeah,
where it ends up almost being an argument when in an interview when you're just trying to have a conversation. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I know what you mean. We've got an
yeah.
interesting question here from Anna Domina,
Hmm.
and it's about mixed reality and extended reality. Do you
Hmm.
think in 2024 we will need to adjust to a new immersive tech wave from a design perspective? With Apple's Vision Pro and mixed reality and extended reality. Do you think it'll motivate more designers to get into the field? What are your thoughts?
I think we're gonna see a start of it. To be honest, I'm not very convinced that we're gonna see a massive boom, just because investing in this kind of technology is gonna cost a lot of resources, time, effort, understanding, for everyone to just go crazy on it. I think we're gonna see some very cool sort of initial stage of experimental projects that like people do almost like as an art piece, not an art piece, but like as like something like a passion project to make something really cool. I think we might see, yeah, just very cool niche, I would say that's the right word, like niche sort of like design things that happen in that space. Might it grow more? Probably. I don't know. I'm to be very honest. I'm not 100% sold on this. I still haven't made my mind. Like, it's funny because like I'm like, no, people are not like just every day like using this. Like I kind of like s- think no, but then I see a solution that I'm like, oh wait, maybe that one. I don't know if we have
Yeah,
found the right tool. Like I believe
yeah,
in the augmented part. I just don't know if we found the right tool because
yeah,
everything that I've seen so far, almost everything, compromises comfort, and that for me it's like the actual thing that doesn't let me be 100% sold on it. Like it's very hard to compromise like daily comfort. Like if you think about like your setup, right? Like whatever wherever you're working, like you're looking for whatever the ergonomic mouse. Like we are looking for comfort to work in a place that feels. We spend so much time in front of the computer, like and for me, there hasn't been a solution that doesn't compromise comfort yet, 100%. So until I see it, I will maybe be a little bit more. But there's definitely gonna be some really interesting things happening in that space. I mean, it's been going forever, right? So it's getting better. We're getting closer, I would say.
it is.
But we'll
It
see.
is. That is true. That is so true. Yeah, we're still very early in the life cycle of this technology.
Yeah,
Let's see in 5 years where it'll be.
yeah, exactly.
Cool. I had a question about failure.
Let's go.
And it's a bit of a difficult question to answer, but let's go for it. What has been your favorite failure, whether it's Revolut or the other places you've worked? Like, can you remember a project or idea that didn't go as planned, but it taught you valuable lessons?
Two come to mind that I think are were very impactful. One was when I was working at Citibank in traditional banking. Eh, uh, my instinct when I got there, like I was so scared of going into a traditional bank because I sort of like had this idea of everything being very broken and slow and like traditional, I guess. And I
Yeah.
went in kind of like guns blazing, like, oh, I'm gonna do this and that, and overpromised all this stuff that like I was never gonna be able to deliver. um, and it took me way too long to sit back and start learning. Like I kind of like I almost put myself above this. Like it's like, oh, I know better practices. I know how to use. Back then it was like Scrum. I know Scrum. Like I know design thinking. Like I'm better than everybody here. And I kind of like
Sounds like ego.
huh?
Sounds like ego.
And I went in like kind of like trying to revolutionize. And it took me way too long to kind of be like, hold up, like like shut up and learn, like you know nothing, like a little bit. Like it was honestly, it was complete like that. And like once I started learning, of course it is a traditional bank and there's a ton of practices that don't work and are broken and bureaucracy and like so many
Yeah.
things that don't work. But that time at City was the best school I could never have learned as much as I learned inside of there in any master's degree in any university, any program, nothing. I learned like back then I was already very passionate about financial products. Like I've since then I've worked only in financial products. I don't see myself working outside financial products, or at least yet. um and I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't stopped and learned everything, learn the inside outs. Like why does this matter to compliance, why is legal complaining, like, and dig deep into the regulation, like going deep into really understanding how things move in the bank. Because then as a designers, like once you know the rules, you learn how to try to break them, right? Like you need to know the rules to try to not break them but to modify them, to go around them, to like you need to know how things work. So yeah, I think my biggest regret was not or failure in that case was like just trying to come in with a sense of superiority to an industry I knew nothing about, versus shutting up and just putting in the time to learn how it worked. The second one was at Revolut. So I've mentioned before in other talks how Revolut 10 was not the first redesign we presented to our stakeholders. um, and I think um, it was a couple of times that we tried something. We invested a lot of time in creating something new, and in reality, now looking back at it, I was caring more about making something big than making something truly well thought out. Like it's not like at the moment it's not like I didn't care, but like looking back, I realized like I was focusing way more on disrupting what we had, and like kind of like I wanted to make a big change. Obviously there were things that were broken, but like still like I hadn't even at that point understood the product from end to end to be able to propose something like this. So I think that was one of my like a personal failure of mine of like I kept trying to like why don't they go for this? And until we did the Ref 10 where we spent so much time really digging into the neat and gritty, the architecture, like every corner to make sure that we started with the roots and not started with just flashy visuals, because that was honestly a little bit of what we were doing before, like creating all
Yeah,
these really cool interfaces that they didn't have like they had obviously some substance, but not fully thought out, like all the way to the back of the product. So I
yeah.
think until we didn't do, and I said this in my presentation in Vienna, like if you don't have the time to invest on really creating a full like end-to-end proposal for everything in the app and how it will holistically work for every team, for every mechanic cross whatever you have, like being able to explain how this new design architecture is gonna translate into every single corner of the app. If you don't have the time to invest in that, like don't do a redesign. You probably should not be doing a redesign. um, so yeah, it wasn't until we did that and we proved like we understand this, we understand the problems, and this is how we solve everything, and how this translates not only to our retail app, or like we have our business app, we have our minus 18 app. Like it's we had to really thought things through. So finally we did. So we learned from the lesson, which is great. But yeah, that one there were a little bit a bunch of mini failures there along the way, but it's okay.
We've got so Faizan just wrote something here. I'll read his first comment, which was I think in response to what we spoke about earlier. He's saying he agrees with the point regarding the simplicity and clear design idea that drives user experience to the next level. And a good designer achieves perfection not by adding everything, but by taking away anything unnecessary. I love that. And his question is, as a product designer, how do you stay inspired and maintain creativity in your work? Are there specific sources or practices you find particularly helpful? Besides obviously going to Japan.
Yes, I was just gonna say it. I no, I do travel. I do travel a lot. I have to say, I love traveling. Like it feeds my soul. It feeds my creativity. Like I love it. I get a lot of inspiration. Like from this is gonna sound weird, but like from textures. Like I don't know why. Like I love fabrics. I
Really?
love like yeah. It's weird, but like I don't. Maybe it's not weird, but like I love. I don't know. I love finding cool textures. I don't know how else to describe it. Like,
You haven't
uh,
found a way of putting those textures into Revolut 10 yet.
we're on it. We're on it. We're actually on it. But yeah, like I don't know. I love fabrics. Like for a long time, like I was like I really love like like fashion design when I was very young. But like I don't know. It always sticks something with me with like fabrics. And um, there's also, I would say, there's a part of me that like gets my creativity sort of gets feed by the people around me. Like I mean that sounds weird, but like just getting yourself like really in touch with the community of designers around you, like that it's kind of like a practice more than anything. Like try to stay connected to people that are constantly feeding you new things, cool things they've seen. Like it just inspires you. What I was saying like about Dubai is a very good place for that. Like you get it like all the time, which is great. um and I was gonna tell you another one, and I completely blanked a little bit. And honestly, for me, meditation. Like I love, like I've been practicing meditation for not too long, like in and out, but more consistently. I would say like about a year ago, I started doing longer meditations, like deep meditations. And I think like taking the time for clearing your head, for letting everything go, and like kind of like go a little bit like woo, like I don't know, into your head. It's a good practice. I get a lot of ideas surprisingly now, like either meditating or like after I meditate, like on sleep, like I would like come like see things. I don't know, sounds weird, but like yeah, meditation and just taking time to clear the head, I think it's super important and undervalued.
Awesome. That's awesome. So Mohammed has a question that aligns with the question I was going to ask you next. So it's probably going to be another two-part question. So his question is, with all your experience and experiments, knowing all you know now, what makes measures would you take if you started out today as a newbie in the industry?
Mhm. Would that be as a newbie in the industry of this designer, I guess? Like, okay,
Yes.
I would say two key things. I think one would be surround yourself by people you admire and make sure you're not comparing yourself. Like I see this so often, and I happen to me, like I see junior people starting up and like immediately being very intimidated by like, oh, but everyone is so good and I suck and I'm not this good, and like kind of like get into their heads um a lot
Yeah.
because they're comparing their work versus like trying to learn from each other's work. Um, a boss of mine told me once a sort of brutal phrase, which is winners focus of winning, losers focus on winners. So it's like if you're focused on what others are doing and what they're achieving and what you don't have, like that's the only thing you've seen. Focus on you becoming better, learning from their wins, when learning from their mistakes, and like just bringing incorporating that into you. um I keep coming back to this. It's all about your mindset. Like if you are someone that you know you want to achieve great things, you know you're destined, like sounds super cheesy, but like, you know you're destined to be great at something that you're passionate about, it will happen. Like just put in the time, put like you already have that. Like the time, the effort, the passion, it's already in you. You have to be patient, and that's the part that it can be very annoying as a designer. Those learning curves, and like especially when you start a new company, like it can be very frustrating to see everyone so
Sure.
up to speed and you feel very blocked and not
Yeah.
yet there.
Sure.
Trust the process, embrace it, give it your all. But yeah, focus more on making sure that you're doing something you love, that's something you care about, and that you're in the right place. I think that one is key too. Make sure you find the right place. Like I know we can it's hard to choose sometimes like where we want to work or whatever, but like I would say do put an effort on finding a culture, a way of working that like matches your values, what you believe in, what you're passionate about, because it's going to make a huge difference.
Wow, that's amazing. I really resonate with that because my career really took a turn when I started leaning into what you said, like that authentic place where I'm not trying to be another designer. I'm not trying to be someone else. I'm just me, and I absolutely agree with you. And my
And
follow up
something,
question, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to complement it with something. I think because I get also this question a lot referring to management, and it's like, how do people jump into like that management
Ah, that
stage?
was my next
Um,
question.
actually, yeah, okay, okay. Um, if you want to make the question, make the question. Let's
Let's
hear
do
the
the
question.
question. So, what would you say is key for a designer to move into leadership? Like, what do companies and hiring managers look for in a design leader?
Yeah. So for me, yeah, exactly what I was gonna say. Like when you are being considered to become a manager or in the position where the next step is to become a manager, for me, what I really look for is, let's say, no one is doubting that you're a good or bad designer anymore. You are in a place where you're a senior designer, you are trusted, you've proven yourself. Now
Right.
you need to prove that you can take other people and make them just as good, if not better than you. And for me, that's where real managers, amazing managers come into play. I don't care about your skills anymore. Like, I know you're a great designer. At this point, I care that you're able to teach, lift people up, give them a forum, being able to like really showcase how you can grow people. And I think this is something I see very often where like managers still like are sort of like competing like in an icy level and stuff. Like it's so pointless. Like focus on the people. Like management is about people. Like I don't care about you, I care about who you are lifting up. um And yeah, when I say lifting up is supporting your team, backing them up, being there for them when something is broken, making sure that they get the credit when they have a really good idea, and making sure that they have the opportunity to present to stakeholders, that they're the ones that can be the voice of their ideas. Like, who cares if you're the manager? Like, let them shine. Like, if your team is doing well and if your team is being perceived as amazing, by default you're being perceived as even more amazing. Like, you don't need to hear it, like,
Yeah,
so yeah, for me it's all about that. Just like, you've proven yourself, now it's time to prove that you can make the others as good as yourself.
that's awesome. So, in light of that, what do you feel when you went from were you a Citibank before Revolut?
No, I was at Rappi. So Rappi, it's a delivery app. Well, it's like a super app. Started with delivery. It's grown into a lot more things. I was actually the head of design for Rappi Pay, which is like the financial sort of branch of the app. Um, yeah, I was a
Yeah,
very startup sort of company.
got it. So what would you say was what made you special? What why do you think Revolut chose you?
Hmm, good question. Um, Honestly, I think it was. I remember like I'm trying to remember like my interviews, because it was very funny. Like, I had already taken a job somewhere else. Like, I was moving to Singapore to work for this other company in the visa process, like already there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I was so like, yeah, I was going to this other don't want to mention it, but like to this other company, like 100%. And Revolut sort of intercepted me at the last minute. Well, not even last minute. No, it was done. Like, I was getting my visa already. Like, but they intercepted me. I had been following Revolut since I started my work in financial services a long time ago. Since they started. So for me, I was seeing it as like, oh, this is gonna be cool to like meet these people that like I've been looking up to for so long, and like, cool. Um, I mean, there was a part of me that like was very scared because I knew I was gonna love it. Like, since the beginning, I kind of like knew what I was doing. Is like, no, don't do it, but like, because you're gonna want to go, and you already have this commitment, and
Yeah,
still I couldn't let it go. I need like I've been just following the company, and the values of the company has been something that has always been extremely appealing to me. Like, this again overachieving nature of it. Um,
yeah,
so I knew I was gonna love it from the get go. Why do I think they like me? I honestly think it's simply that. I can tell you that I'm not the best designer in the company. Like, I'm not like I consider myself good at design and a good manager and many things, but like, I am not the best by any means. And I think the difference, or what made the connection in my interview process with the people I talked to, was the drive, the passion, and like, I I don't know. I live and breathe this. This is my bread and butter, right? Like, I want to go fast. Like, this is not for everyone, and that's the reality. Like, Revolut is a kind of company. Like, a lot of people that talk about like the work life balance and whatever. Like, this is not your 9 to 5 by any means. Um, and it's okay if this is not something you like, and or something you don't want. And you want to have more time. Like, it's 100% fine. But definitely, this is not for everybody. Um, but for me it is like, I don't know have another way to put it. Like, I love being in these like super fast, super, in some cases chaotic, in some cases not so much, but like, just it's such a energy that it feeds me, like, creatively feeds me in every single way. Like, it really just like keeps me motivated to do more. Like, I don't know. So I think it was more than anything that, like, a match on those values of what we want to achieve. um Coming from working in a place like Rappi, the mentality was very much like that. Like, the CEO of Rappi has said a couple times, like, people that work here are crazy. Like, I don't even know why they choose to work here. Like, we're all a bunch of crazy people trying to make like really awesome things happen. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
that I think that makes sense. That makes sense. I think they saw something in you that was um, like embedded within like the very nature of Revolut. So there was that. I guess it's sometimes when someone's the right person because the vibe is just there. I think I get it.
It's
My
like any
question.
other relationship. Like there's even a click or there's no click, you know? Like I don't know. When you know,
Yeah,
you know.
you when you know, you know. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. So my next question is around collaboration. Like, what would your dream collaboration be? So it could be with a person, whether living or dead, historical or present, and who would that
Ooh.
person be? And what product would you be working on with them?
Oh my God. That's a deep question.
It is. Think about it. I'll come
Okay.
back to it.
No, 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 no. No, no, no. I have
Oh, you
one.
got it?
I've, I've always
Give it.
been a huge fan of Alfonso Cuarón, the film director, and all these really wacky, like mystical, like almost sort of creepy, like things he does. Um, that merged with like I've always wanted to do like an app. I don't know what kind of app or what it does, nothing. But I wanted to do an app that basically has no function at all, other than just being an experience that makes you feel like something, like from its beauty, from its whatever it is. So I would say like someone like Alfonso Cuaron and all these like really creepy, like he's the one that did like Pan's Labyrinth, like these really creepy sort of
Yeah,
but very beautiful aesthetics mixed with something that happens in the digital world could be really cool. Don't know what it does or anything, but could
that
be
is,
interesting.
that is super interesting.
Yeah.
Which actually kind of takes me to my next question, which is like, do you work on side projects or like side passions? If yes, what are they? If no, maybe this app is the one.
Maybe it is. I've been looking into I do I'll talk to you about some of the hobbies I have, but like I would say I do have I've been wanting to do something just really beautiful for the sake of being beautiful for a while. Don't know if Alfonso Cuarón will take my call, but but definitely just doing
We
something
can
like
definitely happen.
my
There are a lot of
sorry.
people on this call. There are a lot of people on this call. I think we can make it happen.
We can make it happen. No, but like my sister also, she works in like generative art space. Like there's so much cool stuff happening there. um a lot of people think like NFTs and they associate it with like crypto, but like if you go deep into like really like the art, what's happening, what they're being able to create, like it's super
Yeah,
interesting. Definitely there's something there that I want to explore in the future. Gonna start going to a couple of these events to kind of like know more people and like just get feel the scene and hopefully connect with some people that like can help me make something happen,
I can
something together.
connect you to some people.
Ooh, let's do it. Yes.
Yeah,
um and I would say the other one for me, I love interior design. I've always really liked it. Literally, in pandemic times, I bought a cheap house in Mexico, in like outside of like in a small town in Mexico. I bought a cheap house. I went to live there, and I spent my whole time like renovating it, working with artisans to like build my like custom furniture. Like it was sort of like a dream come true. Um, I mean, for pandemic, it was like honestly very nice to get to do sort of like a
that
creative
sounds
project.
incredible. I would love to see that house.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Is it
To
on
this day,
Airbnb?
no, it's rented now. It's rented to a lovely family. They live there.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that was like interior design has always been something that I want to even learn more of. Another one would be I'm very into it's hard to describe. Like I'm very into documentaries about psychology and just like people, like how they think, and even sometimes, like I'm not gonna lie, sounds it's a guilty pleasure, but like reality shows, like I truly enjoy watching some because like for me it's like sort of like a gateway to see how like all these different kind of people think that you sometimes don't even think people like that exist. And you're like you're in your bubble, right? So it's like such a good way to kind of like go out of your bubble and see what people care, what they value, like in different contexts, from the most raunchy like a reality show to things that are a little bit more like on the sane side. Let's say like I really enjoy it. Like I truly, maybe I'm just justifying it as research, but like I really think it gives you like a glimpse of like so many different realities, I guess, that like you are just completely oblivious of, which is very interesting. And last one would be pottery. That's someone I started doing very recently. in Dubai actually. Really enjoy it. It's like therapeutic and calming.
It is
Yeah, I love it.
amazing. Yeah, we'll what NFTs because I've
Yes.
got some ideas. It's a cool
Ooh,
space to
let's
explore.
go.
All right, let's go. So I think we have time for two more questions.
Sounds good.
We'll start off with Mohammed. Out of curiosity, how differently do you think the designers are that work at FANG companies versus the rest of the world? So that's like Facebook, Amazon, Apple, those
Ah,
companies.
okay. I would say, I mean, it depends. Like I've heard from Apple, for example, I've heard some stories that like they go, 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 and like there's kind of like no process. Like I cannot say like it's 100% true, but like I really don't know how they work. I would say for like Meta and other big companies, I have a little bit more context. Um, I think it truly depends on the team. I've seen people work at Meta in huge teams where they get to spend the whole year figuring out the line that's gonna be in this button with shadow, no shadow. What do we do? Like,
Yeah,
let's test it over again and again and again. Um, but I've also seen people doing like small projects within those companies that are working a lot faster with a little bit more scope, with a little bit of more problem solving. So I think it's not like a cookie cutter, like size fits all, like they work like this. I
right.
think it really depends on what area of the business they're part of. I do have some friends that have ended up being like the designer that's responsibility is to look at this one model that's gonna come up in Facebook Marketplace, and like literally it's like a 1 year project to decide if they use an icon or they don't use an icon.
Wow.
It wasn't actually like that, but it was close. But
Yeah,
uh, so I mean, who knows what happens in reality? You hear some stories. I think there when you're in a company that it's that big, and they have the capacity to have so many resources, it can get a little bit out of control on you overstaffing, hiring more people that you need, and like it's not a problem because we have so much money, right? So like it's not a problem, but it might end up being just a bit boring if you don't find yourself in the right team with the right challenge. In any company is the reality. You can end up with the wrong team and in the wrong challenge, and it's not going to be fun. Of course, they're gonna have way more mature processes in some cases that will make your life a little bit easier. Probably, you'll be able to have a lot more work-life balance in that sense of like having established hours that are less flexible or less fluctuating. I say than in other companies or new companies where resources are like very how do you say it like I forgot the word, but like you have limited resources basically. Um, Although, like, I mean, there's something for everyone out there, right? Like, I would say there's not a good one or a bad one. It's just what fits your lifestyle, what fits your drive. Like, yeah.
so would you? What would you? I guess you probably wouldn't, but you wouldn't necessarily um, hold a designer that works at FANG companies in higher regard than all the other companies. I guess,
Oh, not at all. Actually,
right?
I mean, it's tricky because it's not about the like it's nothing personal. But for us, like we've had really bad sort of experiences with people coming from there, not because they're bad designers by any means, but it's a very big culture shock. Like going from heavy process into somewhere where we work at the pace we work, it's
Right.
it's a reality shock that like it ends up bad both ways. Like it's not like we don't like, it's like they're also like, no guys, like what are you doing? Like I was good before, I'm sorry, what am I doing here? So I've seen it like whenever we have candidates from there, I go in super deep and super transparent to make sure they
Right.
truly understand what they're getting into, and that things are going to be very different because I've seen that culture shock. um, I think also something that if you are in one of these companies or like something to keep an eye on is like a lot of designers that I see coming from these bigger companies tend to have lost a little bit of like the self resourceful like part of it. I don't know, like things are
Yeah.
so well done that like they just go with the tools, like they
Yeah.
forget in other places you don't have the tools, you have to figure it out, you have to go be scrappy and go talk
Yeah,
to users to Starbucks downstairs because like there's no usability. Like th- they lose sort of like that, like a autonomous drive to get it done no matter what. So yeah, like again, it's not a size fit all at all, but yeah, I there's pros and cons, I would say, to those
cool.
profiles.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the last question, I think we've seen this question before. So I think I'll switch my last question to this question, and it'll probably take you a little bit of time to answer, but it's about process. So what does Revolut's design process actually look like from beginning to end? So from requirement to delivery.
Okay, so I would say again, it varies a lot between teams, but I'll give you kind of like a glimpse of retail, which is like one of our biggest teams, and one I work really close with. So the whole retail structure is divided into smaller teams. Those teams have like product owner, designer. In some cases, there'll be one product owner for two or three designers because he has multiple products, etc. The way it works is both designer product. This is ideal scenario, it doesn't work like this all of it, but like we have something that
Yeah.
truly operate like this. I'll even reference like payments team, which is like one that has been working really good for a long time. So we have Paulo and Margarita, our super duo of product owner and designer. So I would say like they literally sit together, they talk about what's going on with the product, what's going well, what's not working, and then literally they start to prioritize together what needs to get done, and then what the product owner would go and like ask for more data if needed. They would talk to legal, talk to whoever they need to talk to bring their requirements, make sure whatever they're gonna change is viable, that is gonna work. The designer in this case would go and like start doing some benchmarks, start doing like what have competitors changed since we launched this feature, etc. Again, look at the data again and be able to identify like if there's anything in the UI or the experience that could be affecting it. They kind of come together again and they're like, oh, this is what I have, this is what I have. So it's a very like constant communication and like collaboration process. Tech leads jump into the picture as well, or like not tech leads, ever like developers come into the picture. They start to, we can change this, bring the technical limitations into the table, and then basically it all culminates in a session that we call make or break, which is our internal review. um, my boss, the head of retail, came up with the name and then expanded to the whole company. I don't know why it's even called like this, but it's a make or break, I guess. Like it goes or it doesn't. So we usually do two of those. So at first make or break, you come in with sort of like an initial concept, the problem, like it's mostly about the problem you're trying to solve. So like in that session, you're coming like, this is what I'm solving, this is a problem I'm tackling, this is why it's important, this is why it's gonna change. So it's all about bringing the right problem. Usually it comes like next to a concept design of like what we're thinking of, to make sure they get like an any early feedback of like, oh yeah, maybe this is great, but like have you thought of an entry point maybe there, like etc. Like so they bring an initial glimpse of like where their head is at when it comes to the design of it. So problem and initial thoughts, let's say. And then the second make or break, which would be a week after that, it's supposed to be basically finalized. So like this is what it's going to be presented in the external stakeholder review. So in that second make or break, things, the feedback sort of incorporated. There's lots of touch points obviously between everybody sort of like in the mix. With me, they'll come to me like show me more like offline or whatever, like, hey, look, this is how it's evolving. Like they keep sort of like updating along the way. And then finally we like, once the second make or break, it's all good to go, we go into what we call product reviews. So our products reviews are where there's a lot more stakeholders. In most cases our CEO is there, like big stakeholders are there, which is something I really like at Revolut, in the sense of all the designers get the chance to present to CEO, CTO, like to people, well, to our key stakeholders in the company. So even a junior designer can present. I think that's something super special, that our designers really get to build way more skills than just design. They learn how to be
Yeah.
great communicators, communicators. They learn how to be able to express their ideas in a simple way, defend their ideas, how to bring evidence and communicate it properly to back up their design. So definitely it can be stressful to have this session. Obviously, with CEO, like ooh, like it can be intimidating for a lot of designers. Of course, it can be, but
Yeah,
I mean, for the pros outweigh the cons by a lot. Like there's
absolutely.
very few companies this size that a junior mid-level designer will have the chance to talk to stakeholders and present their work like this. So I see it as a huge advantage for us, and very happy that like they're still wanting to be involved in the process. But yeah, we do this final product review, let's say, once everything is good. Sometimes there's feedback and we have to come back. Sometimes it's all good to go, but then it's like design, it's just design that's approved. Then we have grooming, then we have our sessions with the engineers to kind of get it through. But I would say something that is really interesting is like we have like multiple tracks going, right? So like you might have a design already at make or break. At the same time, you're starting the concept for another one. While you're grooming, you're already like in design phase of this. So it's like kind of like making sure you have this dual track of work. I don't know, like work. I forgot how to say it, but like work, two different work streams at the same time, sort of like going to keep the flow. Because as I said, our pace, like we presenting this product review every week, so every week we're showing designs. Or I mean, it's not like a zero to one design. Like it's iterations, improvements. Like sometimes they're bigger things, bigger scope than others, but like yeah, it's a constant loop of improvement for sure.
Wow, amazing. So we're
Yeah.
just over an hour, so I will let you go, Maria. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for coming on, and thanks to everyone that came online and asked questions. There's still a ton
Yes,
of questions we can get to, but 1 hour is good enough, I think.
sounds good. Thank you
Sounds
so much,
great.
Pat. Thank you for inviting me. It's been so much fun. And hopefully they
Pleasure.
can message me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to respond as well.
Yeah, be careful with that.
I know, I know. Or maybe I do another Q&A at some point next year. Next year. Sounds good.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll
Hope
catch
to see
up in
you
pottery
soon.
class.
Sounds good. Thank you. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye, everyone.